This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Julia and I am a flight attendant for a major US airline. I've been a flight attendant for about 3.5 years now, and one thing that people are always asking me is about what are the pros and the cons of being a flight attendant. And while I do think that there are definitely pros and cons to every job, I was thinking it would be really fun to dedicate an entire video to what are the pros and cons about being a flight attendant specifically. I would definitely say that the biggest pro to being a flight attendant is being paid to travel the world. I have personally been to 19 different countries, and through my travels, I've had some of the most fun and culturally enriching experiences that I will truly cherish for a lifetime. The con to that and traveling as your job is you do spend a lot of time away from home. For some people, this is amazing and they love constantly being on the go, and then I know for other people this can definitely be a challenge. Typically, I prefer to work 2-day trips with the occasional 3-day trip in there. However, there are times, although it is rare, it does happen, where I could potentially work a 4 or 5-day flight attendant trip. Especially if you are a commuter, which means you do not live in the city that you are based in. This can mean even more time away from home because usually you need to fly into your base either the day before or the morning of your trip. And flying to work when you already fly as your job obviously takes up even more time away from home. Another pro is I personally love working in an environment where I know I am helping others and I am able to interact with them as well. Whether it's just a simple beverage request or to hold someone's hand during turbulence, I've done it all. I've held babies while parents are going to the bathroom. I have prayed with passengers who are going through a rough time. It's such an incredible and unique aspect of my job where I'm able to help people, even if it's just during a short amount of time during the flight. I feel very honored to be a flight attendant in that I get to do that. Going off of that, I guess my next con would be that as flight crew, oftentimes we are underappreciated and there's a lot of stereotypical assumptions that are made about us as flight attendants. For example, like, all you do is serve drinks in the sky, you are only a sky waitress, that's the only reason why we're there, blah, blah, blah. Our job has so many different aspects to it, and the service part of it is just a really small portion of everything that we do. However, it is what passengers see the most, so it is understandable that there is that assumption that that's all we do. We as flight crew are on those airplanes as safety professionals, and that's what we went to training for 6.5 weeks to learn how to do. Another pro about being a flight attendant that I absolutely love is we are able to work with new people all the time. Almost every trip I work with different coworkers, and there's really only been a few times within the past few years that I've worked with the same crew member more than once. Flight attendants truly make up such a unique, culturally diverse, worldly, and just incredible group of people. And the one thing that most of us have in common is a passion and love for aviation. I would also say that having a wonderful and cohesive crew can truly make even the most long and stressful day on the job still really fun. Even though there are so many amazing coworkers, I would say the con to that is this job really can get lonely sometimes. Like I mentioned earlier, there are times where you can be away from home for a lengthy amount of time. And sometimes the crew doesn't want to hang out, and that's perfectly fine, but you also have to be okay with going out on your own on a layover to explore if that's what you want to do, going to restaurants by yourself, being in the hotel room by yourself, even on holidays. I remember when I worked my first flight to London, I'm in a completely new place, somewhere I have never been before, and no one on my crew wanted to hang out. No one wanted to go out and explore with me. So I said, you know what? Nope, I am in London and I'm gonna go explore this place because I want to see it. And you have to be able to make that decision sometimes to go out on your own and do things, which personally I have no problem with because then you're not waiting on other people and you can do exactly what you want to do, but it's also always nice to have a buddy with you. I think especially if you're new to the job and, for example, if you've never moved away from home before, it can definitely feel lonely and you might get homesick because Oftentimes you are staying in hotel rooms by yourself, short layovers, you might not always have time to go out and explore, and I know that there are definitely a lot of flight attendants who can feel lonely, but this can also be a really empowering time for you as well. I personally have gained so much independence from being a flight attendant, and when I have a layover, I truly look at it as me time. It's my time to just be by myself, relax, and unwind. My next pro is that you can have an extremely flexible schedule with being a flight attendant. Obviously, it's different for every airline, especially with their reserve systems, but for the most part, across the board, flight attendants are able to do something called dropping our trips. So for example, if we have a trip that we cannot work anymore, say something has come up at home and we're just like, oh my gosh, I cannot make this trip, we have the option to be able to put it on our trade board online, and if another flight attendant picks it up, then we're all good and we don't have to go on that trip anymore. Another really cool thing that we have the ability to do as flight attendants is we are able to trade our trips with other flight attendants. So say I have a trip this weekend that my friend Leah really wants, and say she has a trip during the week that I really want. Well, we have the ability to go online and go on our schedules, and we can actually trade those trips. So then I would originally work her trip and then she would work mine. What's really awesome about being able to manipulate our schedule like this is it really gives you the ability to work when you want and to not work when you can't. Even when we're on reserve, we still have a guaranteed amount of days off during that month. And for those of you who don't know, reserve means that we are on call with our company. So we are at home or we're at the airport and we wait for a call from crew scheduling, and they will call us and give us an assignment for a trip. However, even the months that we are on call, I believe we still have 12 guaranteed days off for that month. And if we wanted to, we could always pick up trips on those days off to earn some extra money. Before we get into the rest of this vlog, I do have some really exciting news. My friends over at Squarespace have helped me launch my very own website. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to help build a beautiful online presence for your own online store, portfolio, or business. I personally love how I can connect my website to all of my social media platforms. Squarespace also has blogging and commenting features, which creates a fully integrated online community, which includes threaded comments, likes, and replies. I plan on frequently updating my website with blog posts about the flight attendant life and just my life in general. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your amazing website, go to squarespace.com/jettingjulia to save 10% off the first purchase of your website or domain. And now let's get back to the vlog. Now on the flip side and the con to that, as flight attendants, we are often working weekends and holidays. The airline industry does not stop just because it's the weekend or a holiday. We operate 365 days a year, 24/7. That is one of the most consistent questions that I was asked when I was becoming a flight attendant was, one, are you willing to move to any of the bases that we fly out of? And two, are you willing to work weekends and holidays? The airline is very, very, very clear about that. And especially being a junior flight attendant, which means you are new to the job, it can be really difficult to get holidays off. Although I have done it, I have somehow held some holidays off. Typically around that time of year, especially Christmas time and the winter holidays, are some of our most busiest times in the airline industry. So sometimes this does mean that you might have to spend the holidays away from your family. But one thing I've really learned is that it's not about the specific day that you celebrate, but it's about who you're with, how you celebrate, and the feeling that you have around that holiday. Probably one of the biggest pros to working for an airline is the flight benefits. I am so grateful for my flight benefits. These benefits allowed Eric and I to see each other when we were long distance before he moved here to Texas, way more than normal long distance couples would see each other. They have allowed me to take quick trips to visit my family whenever we are all able to, and for Eric and I to go on vacations together. Also, everyone always asks me if buddy passes are a real thing, and yes, they are. However, I only get a certain amount per year, and I set those aside specifically for my family members and my family members only. We also oftentimes receive discounts on hotels, rental cars, even some restaurants. It is just awesome. I would now say that the biggest con to having the flight benefits is that you are not guaranteed a seat. What this means is you are flying on standby. So if there are seats available, then you can go on that flight. However, if that flight is full or oversold and there are no seats for you, you are not getting on that flight. Eric and I were traveling back from Colorado once to Texas, and the flights were oversold and they were full. There was a storm in Chicago and they were filtering people through Denver to get to Texas, and that day specifically, the flights were all sold out or oversold. So Eric and I sat at the airport for 6 or 7 hours, I believe, before we were finally able to get 2 seats on a flight back to Texas. And sometimes that happens. You just have to be willing to roll with the punches, know that can happen, have a backup plan, and definitely travel on a day where you know that you have all day to get to your destination if need be. I am including this next portion as a pro and as a con because it truly depends on how you look at it. I view our pay scale in the way that we are paid as flight attendants as a pro, but some people may view that as a con. I actually have a full video on my channel about how we are paid as flight attendants if you would like to check that out. Everyone knows starting out pay in the airline industry is not considered to be very high, especially if you are working for a regional airline. However, the amazing thing about this job is as long as you can fit the trips within your own legalities per the FAA, then the sky's the limit, literally. You can work as much as you want. We are not salaried employees, so what that means is the more you fly, the more you make, and the less you fly, the less you make. So I personally love that because you are truly in control of what your paycheck is going to be. We also earn per diem, which is a specific amount of money that is added onto our paycheck at the end of the month, and the amount of that varies depending on how much time you fly and are away from your home base. This money is there to cover food expenses and anything that could possibly happen on the road. Another pro about the pay is you do receive an annual raise up to, I think it's like 13 to 15 years with the airline. There is a max out pay, but it is nice every year to know that you will be getting a raise. My next pro is that this job is already amazing when you start, but it only continues to get better with time. Everything in the airline industry is based off of seniority, meaning the longer you've been with an airline, the more privileges and perks that you earn. As you gain seniority, you can hold better trips, which mean more desirable or longer layovers. Your pay increases, and maybe you can even hold some holidays off. I'm going to end on one last pro. This pro is similar to the first one, and that's just as a crew member, we have just such a privilege and such an incredible job. We are able to see people in places that we might not have ever seen in our life without this job. Becoming a flight attendant has given me so much strength and a sense of independence that I didn't even know I could have. This job isn't for everyone, but for me, I feel like it is truly such a blessing and like I have won the lottery. If you are a flight attendant or someone who is looking to get into the industry, what do you think are some of your major pros and cons to the job and the lifestyle? I'm going to finish this video up here, but thank you everyone so much for watching this video and for supporting me and my channel. It truly means the absolute world to me. I hope that you all are staying healthy and safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.